America is the land of the free, right? But if that's really true, why are so many of us still fighting just to vote? From Reconstruction era to today in 2025, voter suppression has simply changed outfits. It's not burning crosses anymore. It's birth certificates, fines, and governors playing gatekeeper. Let's talk about 5 laws that prove systemic racism in voting isn't history, it's policy. 1. The SAVE Act from 2025. The SAVE Act passed the House in April 2025, and it's pending a vote in the Senate. SAVE stands for Safeguard American Voter Eligibility. On the surface, it sounds like it's about protecting elections. Who doesn't want secure, accurate, verifiable elections, right? But when you look closer, what it says and what it actually does are 2 very different things. The law requires voters to present specific documentary proof of citizenship, not just a driver's license, but things like birth certificates or passports. Sounds reasonable to some, until you realize that millions of eligible voters, well, hell, they don't have easy access to those documents. Let me give you some examples. Women who change their names after marriage. Well, do you immediately get that updated document? Probably not. Then you have poor citizens. They may not be able to afford the fees to get those replacement ID documents. In rural communities, hell, they might live hours away from the nearest records office. So instead of making voting more secure, the SAVE Act creates new hurdles that fall hardest on marginalized groups under the guise of election integrity. This isn't about stopping illegal voting. Heck, multiple studies have shown that non-citizenship voting is virtually non-existent in the U.S. This SAVE Act, law, whatever you want to call it, it's about erecting new barriers and pretending that it's reform. Let's go to number 2, criminal disenfranchisement laws. Criminal disenfranchisement laws, well, they're one of the clearest examples of how Jim Crow never really died. It just got rebranded. After the Civil War, Southern states used felony convictions as a tool to strip Black Americans of the right to vote. Laws were crafted to criminalize behaviors, well, that were more likely to ensnare newly freed Black citizens. It wasn't about justice. It was about control. Now, fast forward to today, 2025, and the impact remains. More than 4.6 million Americans can't vote because of felony convictions, and, well, Black Americans are disproportionately affected. According to the Sentencing Project, 1 in 19 Black adults is disenfranchised, compared to 1 in 59 non-Black adults. These laws continue to serve their original purpose, which is shrinking the Black vote and maintaining power structures under a new legal veneer. Number 3, let's talk about a specific state, Virginia. They have a lifetime voting ban. You see, Virginia takes this a step further with its lifetime voting ban, this disenfranchisement, because unlike most states, Virginia has no automatic process to restore voting rights for people with felony convictions. Instead, that decision rests entirely in the hands of the governor. That means whether you can participate in democracy depends not on your rehabilitation in Virginia. It's not on the law. It depends on one person's political whims, the Virginia governor. This echoes an older power structure where a few white elites held the keys to Black political participation. And just a few months ago, in June 2025, Reuters reported that Virginia's governor had slowed down or halted many restorations altogether, leaving thousands disenfranchised. Now, that's not democracy. That's gatekeeping, dressed up as state policy. 4. Florida Amendment 4 from 2018. In 2018, Floridians made history. By a 65% majority vote, voters passed Amendment 4, which restored voting rights to people with felony convictions who had completed their sentences. Sounds very noble. It was hailed as one of the biggest expansions of voting rights since the civil rights movement. Again, sounds very noble. But almost immediately after that vote, state lawmakers went into effect and they added a requirement that people must pay off all fines, fees, and restitution before regaining their rights. For many, that added up to thousands of dollars, money they simply didn't have. The result? Well, a law that was meant to restore voting rights ended up denying them again, but this time through a financial loophole. Yeah, that's called a modern poll tax, plain and simple. And it's exactly the kind of discriminatory practice that the Voting Rights Act was designed to prevent. And now let's get to number 5. The Enforcement Act of 1870. Let's step back in time to 1870. This is after Reconstruction, when newly freed Black Americans were registering and voting in huge numbers. Well, the white supremacists responded with violence and intimidation, burning ballot boxes, lynching community leaders, and passing state laws to suppress the vote. In response, Congress passed the Enforcement Act of 1870. That made it a federal crime to interfere with someone's right to vote. Now, that proves something crucial. Systemic racism in voting, it isn't new. The federal government recognized it over 150 years ago. You know what other names this law is known as? Well, the Civil Rights Act of 1870, or get this one, the first Ku Klux Klan Act. Why call it that if America wasn't racist then, just like it is today? And if we look closely, the language of today's laws may have changed, but their impact often hasn't. Voter suppression is simply evolving. From poll taxes to ID requirements, from literacy tests to bureaucratic hurdles. So when people say voter suppression is a thing of the past, the history and the present, well, they both say otherwise. From the Reconstruction era to today, 2025, laws continue to shape who gets to participate in democracy and who doesn't. Plain and simple. These 5 laws discussed in this video, they're not isolated incidents. They're actually part of a deliberate through line, a strategy as old as Reconstruction itself, and that is change the rules to control the vote. Whether it's the SAVE Act, lifetime bans, poll taxes in disguise, or bureaucratic barriers, the message is clear. Democracy isn't broken for everyone, just for the people they'd rather not hear from. So the very next time someone says America isn't racist, tell them to read the law books, both old and new. Which of these laws discussed in this video shocked you the most? Have you seen the impact of any of them in your state? Remember this too. Racism isn't always somebody saying a slur. Sometimes it's written in legal code. Finally, if you want more honest conversations about racism in America, please hit subscribe, share this video, and keep your eyes on the prize, which is the White House and democracy in America. Bye for now.